welcome back. What a long time it's been. Wait, when? No, wait.
No, we've had a long time. They have not. They will have had 2 weeks.
They've only had 2 weeks.
Yeah, we do 2 weeks in between each episode. So
Oh, okay.
we had about a month. A month.
We.
We've had
Oh,
about a
wow.
month.
We've had about a month vacate. Oh, we've had a month off. It's been a long month, guys. But we're back, and today we're talking to Rob from Death of Youth, a band from the UK.
They're a screamo band. Are they a
Yeah,
screamo?
screamo band. Yeah, they're a screamo band. They have an album coming out February 16th called Nothing is the Same Anymore. And today we're going on a bit of a journey. Think that for today's episode, everything is kind of, just like
It's a lane.
straightforward.
It's a lane, and
Yeah, it's a
not a
lane.
bad lane. I don't mean that in a bad way.
It's a fun lane. I would say for me personally, it's a lane down, like a stroll down memory lane. I do think we touch on a lot of good things. We get a good talk. It was a fun episode. I hijacked it for the most part, and
That's
I'm
fine.
so sorry
It's okay.
to our listeners that you've heard so much from me. I'll do better. I'll speak more
You should.
in the
You
future.
can.
Yeah, I should. I should.
You can.
I
I remember when I sent you this initially, you had a little bit of trouble finding a 0 to 10. How did you land on ABBA?
Yes. That was just me thinking about what my parents would put on in the car and things like that. It was one representing my dad used to play me a song called David Watts by The Jam. So I was thinking of including that album. And I was like, actually, he only played me one song off that album, whereas Abba Gold was on in the car like all the time.
Hmm.
When I was like, at least particularly when I was around like 6 years old, and I just remember those songs so vividly, and even like going back and listening to it, which we'll probably get onto later. But yeah, I just remembered a lot of the songs, and I remembered the exact track listing and the order, which is
Yeah.
weird because I'm not listening to that in like 20 odd years.
I'm not the hugest ABBA fan. Are these in chronological order? Or yeah, I know. I could see you, Karina. Um,
I
I'm not the hugest ABBA fan. Were these in chronological order, or are they just kind of like, hey, we'll make a good ABBA mix?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I didn't do that much research. I just
Yeah.
remember this was the order that they were in when in the car and things like that.
just want to say that this whole list is beautiful, like beautifully made up. Uh, and and the fact that ABBA's number one, and I feel like we're going to spend the next 45 minutes discussing this. It just makes me so happy. So let me just pull up ABBA Gold album, because I know that the second song, Knowing Me, Knowing You, predates the divorces, because then afterwards, what's it called? Winner Takes All, which
Uh-huh.
is one of their later hits from like post-divorce ABBA. Um, what I can't remember is, I think because Super Trooper came out in the 70s, I can't remember the exact date, and I feel like I should.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because the last song I hear is Waterloo, and I figured Waterloo would have been like way earlier in the thing, right?
uh-huh. That's what that's what gets me too. Okay, here we go. I found it. Waterloo is from when 1974. So it's not in order. It's just just bangers.
Just a
But
mix.
yeah, it's just a mix. But it's a good
Mm.
mix. Like, if you don't know ABBA, everybody should hear this
Well,
mix because it's the best mix.
it feels like it goes from like AM pop to 70s orgy soundtrack really fast when you listen to them in this order.
Forrest, did you have any favorite song off the compilation?
Not necessarily, but I did tap my fingers to it a lot more than I would ever admit.
Yeah, so
What
that was a
about
big thing with me going back to this was because I don't nowadays I don't really listen to ABBA by choice. It's just I hear their songs out and about here and there.
Mm.
Going back back to listen to this, I was like, oh, I recognise this song. I recognise this song. This song. I remember. I think the one thing I remember from my childhood was my favourite was Money, Money, Money because it's got that really catchy kind of synthy bit at the start, and I was like, that was. And that, for some reason, that's what latched on to me as a kid, the catchy synth parts. I think one of my siblings really likes Mamma Mia, so I think those two were on repeat quite a lot. So I distinctly remember us asking for those particular songs, and my dad put that CD on in the car.
For me, it's knowing me, knowing you, just because of the chorus, like knowing me, knowing you. It's just so good. I mean, that could like that's just mwah. Oh, that's so good.
Uh, a funny story about the song recently involving Death of Youth. We were waiting for our guitarists to pick us up on the way to a gig, and
Yeah.
for some reason that song popped into my head, and then we all just started singing it in the style of James Hetfield.
You know what? Next time you do that, please record it because I really want to hear that cover now. I feel like that's dangling in front of me. I think you should do your thing and just knowing me, knowing you. And yeah, just remember to do like that's
Just throw it in there.
actually just always throw that bit in there. How do you feel, Rob, that ABBA shaped your music taste overall? Like you're in a band now, and you just said that you don't listen to ABBA
Yeah,
as
that's
much.
correct.
But how, like picking this as one of the first ones, and I know you mentioned that you would always hear it, but how do you looking back and like comparing it to now? How do you feel that ABBA do you even feel like ABBA has any influence in anything you do?
That's interesting. I guess why ABBA, I think why that's such a memorable record is because those songs are so memorable, so catchy, and that's probably, I think, one thing that kind of helped me when I was kind of getting into discovering bands on my own. Like the first band I was like absolutely passionate about was Green Day, and obviously their songs are very catchy. So it's I think catchy in a different way, catchy in a slightly more aggressive way, but maybe that's probably the closest thing I can think of in that respect.
But I mean, it's always good. And because it's a compilation, I don't actually, let me just check with Forrest. Is this the first compilation we've actually had?
No,
No.
no, Monkeys with Reed.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. But I also feel like it's a good album to get people listening to it. So I get why your parents chose this because my first album was Cher's Believe. I love Cher. This is the second time I bring her up in an episode. Third.
And that's oddly relevant because I'm pretty sure Cher was in Mamma Mia 2.
Yeah, exactly. So full circle. I feel like we were meant to meet because of this. This is full circle. Your parents would be proud. I can feel it. They're like, yep, she knows. She knows. But I feel, no, what I'm saying is I love the fact that it's the gold compilation because it doesn't have any of the deep cuts on it, which just speaking like out in the open, just being frank, when I've spoken to friends about ABBA, because I've like for a few years they were a guilty pleasure. Now I'm very open about my ABBA love because as I mentioned to you, Rob, I have this stepmom and I have those crazy aunts that would put it on at family gatherings and sip their wine and smoke their cigarettes and very English, get it on. Even at the karaoke bus, I'll sing it. But when I speak to my friends about ABBA, when we get into the deep cuts, it's like, oh, they aren't as well written as the bangers, as the good hits, like on the compilation with Gold. And I get that. But what is your take on this? Because your parents, I'm assuming they're very happy about ABBA.
Mm. Well, as I said, I only really remember the compilation Abba
Hmm.
Gold, and it's like as it was on the car. I think even now, sometimes like if I I'm around, I hear my mum cooking, she'll sometimes put playlist on, and some of these songs will come up. So yeah, trying to think. Yeah, so I wouldn't know if any deep cuts could, but I think the thing with this compilation was going back and listening to it now, 20 odd years later, I was remembering all the songs, and as the track listing was so memorable. I was like, oh yeah, that was the order. I think there was a few songs I've completely forgot were on here as well. Like I think Does Your Mother Know? Like I didn't know it from this compilation. I knew it from, I don't know if you've seen the film Johnny English, but there is a scene
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson's character, he's like singing it in the shower or something, and I didn't even clock that was ABBA until I realized, oh yeah, that was an ABBA song, but that was in Johnny English.
Yeah, I had the same experience. I'm not even going to pretend to be an elitist snob there. When I heard it again earlier this week, I was like, "Oh my God, that's Johnny English." I was like, "Oh God, where's Johnny English on an ABBA compilation?" It didn't click for me at any point, but but it should have when I've watched the movie with my dad and stepmom, and my stepmom would like move to it, so I should have clocked it back then, but I was a kid. I
Can
was
I ask
embarrassed.
as a side because like unfortunately in America that movie didn't do well here. I love Mr. Bean. I grew up watching a lot of British comedy. How well is that movie and how well that movie do in like Europe?
Pretty well.
I'm I'm not too sure about. I remember it was quite. I remember KFC did a kids movie Toy Tie-in around the time it came out,
Uh-huh.
but I think it came out around the same time as X-Men 2, which was obviously the bigger movie.
Yeah.
But I think I didn't see it until like a year later when it was on like the TV. And I remember
Okay.
watching it and just thinking it was like it was just finding it incredibly hilarious
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
at the time. Particularly particularly the part where he gate crashes the funeral, thinking he's caught the jewel thief, and he's insistent on digging up their coffin.
Oh, fuck, I love that guy. Just Rowan Atkinson in general. So the one thing I will say about ABBA, and I learned this earlier, and now kind of hearing it is Elvis Costello's pianist Steve Naive is hugely influenced by ABBA, and when you listen to some of his piano parts, you can hear it in some of the riffs and things that he does.
I mean, who wouldn't be inspired by ABBA? I would if I went out and started started a band. It would be an ABBA slash Cher covered band. I really love
Oh,
those
funny
people.
enough, my guitar teacher, who taught me guitar back when I was a teenager, he was in an ABBA tribute band.
Oh, nice.
I did you ever go see it?
I have no idea what it's called. This is my dad told me that. Oh yeah, he's in an ABBA tribute band. I think it was something like he was a his child was in the same class as my little brother, so that's how we got there. And then my mum was like, "Oh yeah, he teaches guitar," and I had a passing interest in learning guitar, and I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'd like to have the opportunity to do that."
Did he teach you any ABBA songs?
No, but he taught me a lot of Green Day, and later on he taught me a lot of Funeral for a Friend, which is of course one of my other picks that we
That's
get
his
into
next. That's your
later.
next
Yes.
one. That was a great segue, bud.
Yeah, I
Wasn't
actually
planned.
It works. It works. I'll take it. I'm not gonna. I'll take the layup.
uh I I was actually gonna, yeah, move it to like waking up. Let's move on to,
Yeah.
but that wouldn't have worked at
Oh,
all.
that's
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
So,
But
Funeral for a Friend, Casually Dressed and Deep in Conversation was your teen album. How did you find that album? Was it through him?
so. No, that was when I was 15 at the time, and so I previously got into Green Day, who was a band my cousin listened to. and also worked my way through My Chemical Romance's Discog. And so Funeral were probably one of the first bands I got into that I discovered for myself and just ended up falling in love with. So I was using this old music / social media site called Django and searched up their name on there. So I'd heard their name in a magazine, and then I saw they were tagged as Screamo, and that fascinated me because I'd heard the word and I was like, but I didn't really know what that means. So I hadn't been exposed to like Orchid or Page 99 or anything like that. But I remember hearing the songs Rookie of the Year and Bullet Theory, and then seemed like, wow, this is amazing. And then I bought Casually Dressed and Deep in Conversation on CD off the back of how much I loved those two songs.
Yeah, my buddy was into the album that had Streetcar on it. That's the only one I'd heard before this week.
Oh, that's the one after this one.
This is I might get slaughtered on the internet for this. Reddit, come at me, bitches. I think that Rookie of the Year is the best album starter that Funeral for a Friend has ever given us.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, thank God. Because the way, like it's such a well-balanced song. The way, like, it's okay, it's a class act in how you go from clean vocals to dirty, filthy vocals. Like the screaming bit, but oh my God, and just
The guitars are still really melodic as well.
yes. And it's like 3 minutes, bang, you know what you're getting, but it's just so like no album opener like has ever measured up to Rookie of the Year. And I think that I'm actually happy about it, if I'm gonna be honest, because I discovered this album much later. Like
Same.
I was I'm just sitting here going like, how old was I in 2000? I was 12, I think. I'm turning 34 this year, and it's 22 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I didn't discover this album when it came out, but I remember like finding out years later that the
Yeah.
release date was on my 10th birthday, which is crazy to me.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had the same realization when we were doing our first episode, and I had picked Fall Out Boy, picked an album where I was like, yeah, I wasn't even into like emo at that point, but yeah, with this album, it's like it's just it came much later, and I'd already been listening to Bring Me the Horizon when they actually screamed. So I felt like discovering Funeral for a Friend because I thought it would have been like, some kind of indie thing. I don't know why I actually decided.
Oh,
yeah, I think Band of Forrest.
they did have a few albums that kind of went into that kind of slightly more indie-ish vein, for better or worse. Like they've got some good songs on those albums, but I'm like, where's the aggression?
Yeah, and that's like the only and Casually Dressed is the album where you have the aggression, because then they're like, let's just tone it down a bit. We shouldn't be as angry anymore. And you listen to it and you go, it's like their later material, and you go, so why aren't we mad anymore? Can we?
Oh, actually, their last three albums started to get a bit heavier, which I really liked those last three albums they did.
Your History Is Mine.
So they did do some Welcome Home Armageddon, Conduit, and Chapter and Verse. So those three albums, they did those on indie labels because I think they kind of parted ways with the major label they were on, and then they kind of started doing a bit more hardcore influence stuff.
Oh yeah. Huh. Maybe 2026 should be the year that they return with something.
Oh
maybe.
yeah, I think they because their singer Matt left a couple of years ago after they did their casually dressed 20th anniversary tour because the rest of the band wants to do new music, but Matt's like, I'm living in Germany now. I've moved on with my life. I want to focus on something else. Not those exact words, but I think that's pretty much the reason why he's not in
Yeah.
the band anymore because he didn't want to do new music. He hasn't got anything else to say that at least he feels he said everything he wants to say with music.
He'll return when he has something. We'll just give it time. But just to poke at it once again, um, has Funeral for a Friend influenced your sound today?
Oh, 100%. Like they're my absolute favorite band of all time. So it's natural that they would influence me in some degree. Like they got me into bands like Thursday, Thrice Electric and Fire, as well as like bands like Voice That's Fire, Snapcase, and Grade. And like they influenced a lot of my guitar playing at the time. Like I started tuning my guitar to drop the flat because that's the tuning they
Mm,
played in on Casually Dressed. And I remember learning their songs to kind of help me learn some more kind of advanced techniques. And because at that time I was used to playing like Green Day songs, which are like very like much like power chord
yeah.
based songs. And then I sort of looked at Funeral for a Friend guitar tabs and they were a bit more intricate. But because I love those songs, I really wanted to learn how to play them. I kind of pushed myself a bit more to kind of like play the slightly more trickier parts, even like the tricky lead riffs, because there are some really cool
Yeah.
parts in this, and it helped me gain a lot more confidence as a guitar player, and it really helped me in my very first band because we were like a very much similar kind of thing to Funeral, and I was ended up being lead guitar, so I basically just because I've been playing guitar longest out of me and the other guitar player.
But
Did
that's
it? Oh,
just
but
awesome. Oh, sorry, Forrest.
it's
I'm
okay.
just
No, I'm. This isn't emo isn't always my lane, so I understand. I like early emo.
mm,
I thought this album though did hit a lot of the different types of emo. Like I think they do a good job of like kind of hitting a little bit of everything.
yeah,
Um,
I was actually gonna say that this is actually an album for you.
for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you just like let it
Mm.
sink in for a bit, I think you'd get into it.
Yeah, my wife was surprised. She was like, "What are you listening to all this stuff for?" Because I usually don't. I'm, replacements
Yeah.
and jazz. And she's like, "What are you listening to this for?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's for the podcast." And she was just surprised. She's like, "Oh, you're listening to like good music."
I love your wife. This this is becoming such a fun thing.
Was this the first music that made you feel like this was your music, make you go out there and write music?
It definitely helps a lot, at least in the times of like, this is the style of music I want to be doing. Because
Yeah.
I think the first band that made me want to do music was Green Day. Because it's like, cause I think previously my mum was a big Iron Maiden fan, and she kind of lent me her cassette tapes in my early teens. And I liked it, but I couldn't really relate to it as much. Whereas Green Day, I was like, oh, these guys, they look kind of like me. So maybe
Mhm.
I can do this. And then Funeral was like, I think with Funeral, again, it's like the balance of the heaviness and the melodic stuff. And I think and I think that's what that shines me as well as I think the fact that they're a bit more sophisticated compared to bands that came later or around the same time, like Silverstein and Hawthorne Heights, which are a lot more melodramatic and angsty, which is probably why Funeral have stuck with me more than those bands did.
Okay. What Green Day album was it that got you?
Oh, that was Dookie Up. So I heard
Oh,
Basket
okay,
Case
cool.
on like because yeah, I had a like on-demand service on my TV which had loads of music videos, and Basket Case was the first one I clicked on, and I was instantly like, wow, this has got a bite to it, but it's also like really catchy and melodic, and I was like, this, I want more of this, and
Nice.
I think I've got that album, and I've got their greatest hits album as well, International Super Hits,
Yeah,
which
that's a good
also
comp.
had Basket Case songs.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on that one. Even the one they did after the B-sides one, Shenanigans, or is that what it's called? Is it called Shenanigans? That's a fun one too.
Yeah, Shenanigans, yeah. That's interesting enough. One of the ones I haven't listened to. I think for some reason I just never got around to. I
Yeah.
think I got all their albums and I moved on to. Then I kind of got more into My Chemical Romance, and then of course Funeral took
Yeah.
over from there.
Yeah, they have some fun B-sides, Green Day does. Do you? I always ask people, do you like the side stuff like the network and Foxborough hot tubs?
That stuff I've not delved into as much. I remember hearing bits of Foxborough hot tubs, and I was like, this isn't really connecting with me. I think because I was like 14, 15 at the
Yeah.
time, and it's like, where's the angst?
Yeah, they're a little more they it's kind of Green Day doing the Kinks a bit. Um when you break it down, it's a little bit more the Foxborough one is. Um the network is just fucking insane and great. It's just them, it's just Devo Green Day. The next one was Touché Amore.
Can we just start
Yeah,
off by
Touché Amore passing the sea.
can we just start off by saying 2011 when this album came out was a big year. Like you had Wildlife
By
with Lad.
by Lawrence Pugh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you had Shed by Title
La
Fight.
Lack Long After by Pianos Become the Tea. So yeah, this is a great era for that kind of
It,
music.
it was amazing. And I am as well. I came to that party a little late thanks to actually thanks to my best girl, my best friend, Cecil. Um I will say that I did not give Touche Amore a fair chance when they came out. But she told me to get my shit together, and I actually started with this album, and I think I get why you like this album as a teenager. Oh, in your 20s, sorry.
Yeah, that one came about, I think when I was like 18, 19. That's when I got in first kind of discovered them. And it was through because I was a big fan of Thursday, and
Mm.
when Thursday broke up, they Jeff Rickey did like this video interview, and one of the things he said was he spoke about like how he felt like he was passing on the torch to Touche Amore because Jeremy was a big Thursday fan. He ran like a Thursday fan site, and he was always getting Jeff to come to his shows, and Jeff would always come to support him because Jeremy would always support him. And then when he finally heard the Touche Amore demo, he's like, "Oh wow, this is amazing!"
Yeah.
And he really helped them out early on. And when they mentioned Touche, I was like, "Oh, I should go and listen to them." I listened to look them up on YouTube. First one I heard was "Home Away from Here," and I was like, this is great. And because at the time, a lot of like the mainstream kind of heavy music was a
Yeah.
lot of like the kind of Warped Tour metalcore, like Asking Alexandria of Mice and Men, which I didn't really vibe with. So it was really exciting to hear kind of like a post-hardcore band that was like more than that
Mm-hmm.
I latched onto, and that's what appealed to me. And then I think as well,
But
just the honesty in the lyrics and things like that. That's why it's something that I really like. All throughout my 20s, and I will say they were probably the biggest influence I had when starting Death of Youth.
yeah. Yeah, because um where do I even start? I this was yeah. Where do we start with this? Let me just get the ball rolling. What is like if there's one track, like one song from that album that you can like you're stuck on an island, you can bring three things with you. Um, but I decide the album, and I've decided this album because I know the answer to this question. I know my own answer to this question. If you were stuck on an island all by yourself and you could only bring one track from this album, which one would it be?
Oof, that's a hard. But there's I've got two. I would choose between. I would choose between The Great Repetition and Method Act. Those are the two songs that I absolutely love from this album. I mean, I love the whole album, but those two songs in particular are the ones that I latched onto the most.
How come?
I think with Great Repetition, I just love the opening at start. It just goes straight into it. I mean, which is the case for a lot of the songs on this album. And again, it's that kind of it's the melodic guitars with the full-on screaming vocals, and I love just the lyrics. I think one of my favourite lines that Jeremy's ever done is, "For my final trick, I'll make everyone who loves me disappear, but I won't know how to bring them back." And it's like, oh, it just hits you in the feels, and that's when I love art that like makes an impact on you, and that album definitely did.
Yeah,
And then with
because
Method Act, it's just Method Act is the same thing. It's got very much the aggression to it, and I love the slowdown at the end. And again, another line: "I'd rather play dead than play catch up." Is I remember going to see them in I think it's 2018, and I was right at the front. This is a no barrier show, and Jeremy passed me the mic during
oh,
the when play catch up part, which I was like really chuffed about at the time.
I get that. I would be too. Except I stood really far away when they played in Copenhagen last year. And I can't even remember what they played. I'm not saying it was because the amount of beers, uh, but it was more one of those uh, one of those moments where it's where you get overwhelmed by the fact that you're there because Jeremy's presence, if you've watched Touché Amore live, it's captivating. Like from the
Mm.
moment the whole band gets on stage and they start playing their instruments, it's like you're everything around you doesn't matter anymore.
Oh
It's
yes, because the first time I saw them live was when they first came over here. I think it was like a couple of months after Stage 4 came out,
mm,
and I went down to see them in Brighton in which is like South Coast UK
yeah.
because I had a friend over there who was at uni, so I was crashed at his for the show, and I think that was a no barrier venue. So this is the best way to see them because it's like you get the full energy with everything, and it was really good show. It was a Touché Amore, Angel Dust, and a band called Departures, who were like a Scottish melodic hardcore band. So
Yeah.
that was a really good lineup.
Yeah, I was about to say that is a really good lineup. Oh, Angel Dust. Oh yeah. I love them. Still haven't seen them live, but I love their songs. I really enjoy their music. Yeah. But Touche more. I get why. No, actually, fuck that. Scratch that. This is this is the best way to introduce their fan, like a new fan to Touché Amore. This album, Parting the Sea Between Brightness and Me, because it is
Oh
so raw. Like
yes, agreed.
it is. I will say that like they've managed with the new album, which I also really enjoyed. They've managed to keep that same vulnerable, same raw, same um yeah, feeling to it, but like Parting the Sea, it was so different as a new fan, like in a new fan in her 30s, starting to listen to them. I just think this album hits so much, like extremely different because it's just a rough listening to if you're going through all these changes as you do in your 20s. Like in your 20s, you're figuring out who you are, and you do that in your 30s too. Um, not to say
Mm.
that it's only in your 20s, but as she said, like
It doesn't change in
the
your 40s either, let me tell you.
see, Forrest knows. Forrest knows. It's just the way that um the like Jeremy describes, like if I push people away, can I make them come back? Is it on me? And somewhere like trying to figure out who you are, and I do feel like this album is a nice reflection of a band figuring out who they are and where they're going from there. I think
Yes,
that's
definitely a lot more. I think
yeah.
it's more confident than. I mean, I love their first album bit as well a lot because this is just very raw, and of course it's got Jeff Ripley doing guest vocals on track. But I think this one just feels more like they kind of settled into the kind of band that they were kind of wanting to be. I think Jeremy kind of said that they kind of went more for like doing like a hardcore band that's influenced by screamo, and you can definitely hear that. on this album.
But you also hear like, but you hear it in the lyrics, like the confidence there is with
Definitely.
because it's I've once said that the best bands, the most confident bands, are the bands that know that they have nothing to lose with being vulnerable and like just letting it all go.
Yeah, and that's every song Touché have kept up with, because obviously, like the couple of albums on from this, they did Stage 4, which is obviously all about Jeremy's mom dying of cancer, and that album's probably the most emotional album. But I think for me, Parting the Sea is the one that I think hits me. This is the one I go back to the most.
Oh yeah. I've not heard Stage 4 since in 2 years. I think it's a rough listen to because it feels intimate in a good way, like not overstepping boundaries intimate, but it's also because cancer happens, like it happens to everyone, and but that's the thing, it becomes way too relatable where it feels like, oh my god, it's just heartbreaking, the album. It's just as a mom,
I think they're doing some tours for that album this year. They're doing some 10-year anniversary tours playing this album in full.
Ooh. Oh. Let me see where they're heading. Oh wait, I remember why I stopped listening to it. Oh, why I didn't. Oh, that year it came out. This is before I was a Touché Amore fan. I actually became a mom for the first time. I was a young mom and I accidentally got postpartum depression, and I remembered that album brought, like, stirred up some feelings I had, like, yeah, being a mom. So I remember I've cried a lot to that album for a few years ago, and we don't go back. Have you not adopted, that sounds like, have you like copied Touché Amore with like their songwriting skills? Have you found inspiration, like when you're writing songs with the band? Do you look at Touché Amore like the way that they, not the way that they set the lyrics up, because in my perspective that doesn't matter, but like the vulnerability aspect of it, the rawness in it? Do you like did you get inspired by that?
I'd say I definitely, like when I first started Death of Youth, my idea was kind of to play music in the vein of like Touché Amore, La Dispute, Piano's Become the Thief, those kind of bands. So like some of the bands from the UK doing that kind of thing. So, and they're all for that very hot on the sleeve kind of thing. And that was very much like, maybe not like 100%, but I love Jeremy's lyrics and how open they are, and that's something I've definitely tried to emulate. Even though I think more recently, I've just, because I don't want to like make up loads of random stuff that's irrelevant, I've kind of gone getting more political and social with my lyrics compared to like just saying personal stuff.
We love politics. Politics belongs in music, people. And fuck ICE. And fuck Trump.
Exactly.
He's like, just to go off on it, he's already fucked up my plans to go to America this year. I'm not coming.
I don't blame you.
He's like low-key declaring war on Denmark. I'm fucked. I'm not coming in. See ya.
Yeah, no, I got you. Which is a bummer.
It's such a grim situation.
Yeah,
that's all I can do is just. I mean,
but that's why it's so goddamn important that musicians and what the fuck, public figures and people in bands speak up. So I'm glad that you're saying like that you've become much more aware on like your the political.
It was always my intention for Death of Youth to become more political. As well as also about stuff I listen to bands like Burstin, who are of course very open about their politics, and that's something I always wanted Death of Youth to be more than just me and my feelings. I want to talk about stuff that's important, that's affecting everyone.
And have you managed to do that with the new album? How do you feel that that's been able to be translated into your new material that's dropping? And I, of course, remember the release date because I'm a sponge. Forrest,
But
help me out.
February 15th?
Thank you.
Was that it?
February 16th, but yeah,
16.
Yeah,
but we got a
16th.
release
I was
show the
off.
day before.
Almost.
Okay, but yeah, basically, I think I definitely did stray more political because there's a lot of stuff going on, especially it's more kind of about like stuff people who go like, oh, I don't do politics, or like
Mm-hmm.
right wingers kind of latching onto our music scene and kind of keep to themselves until like a band or someone in the scene kind of does something stupid and right wing, and they're like, oh, but we've always been here, and it's kind of like, no, you were never meant to be here. We made this kind of music to keep you out, but at the same time, like there's some personal stuff. But like I went through like a really rough breakup about 2 or 3 years ago. Also, and
Mm-hmm.
one of my childhood friends from school passed away, so those kind of things did come into the lyrics of the album. But also, I did make sure to keep it mainly on the political side because that was just felt more important to me to talk about than what was going on in my life at the time. Even though I did
I
leave the space to kind of discuss that as well.
Yeah, because I've noticed the shift. Like, if I'm gonna be honest, I get sad going on my social media because I don't know. I love being political and I love taking my stand and I love saying fuck you to the oppressors and stuff like that. But I can't do what musicians do. So for that, I'm just going to thank you because you might be a small band, but you're already there. You've already made sure that you're the voice of people who don't feel like they have a voice. And I think that's really important going forward. And I think we need to remember that there's no place for racism or fascism in music. Chalk hands. How about that one? When you sent that over, when what were we doing, Forrest? We were recording an episode
We were about
where,
to, yeah. And
yeah,
I that's the only band I didn't know out of all of these. I've heard of the other bands at least. And I heard at least something from each of these bands. Chalk Hands is the only band I was like, oh, I've never heard this before.
I got extremely giddy because it's the album from 2022, which is, oh, it's such a great album. And I remember because Forrest, he went, oh, we got an email from Rob, and he went, oh, he has some nice choices. He has 4 good choices. And I kept going like, what is it? Tell me. And he goes, oh, Abba, Funeral for a Friend, Touché, Amore. And I went, okay. And he goes, Chalk Hands. And I'm like, oh shit, the band from Brighton. Oh yeah. So how did no wait, I'm you're in the UK, so I'm pretty much guessing where you like how you discovered them. But tell me.
Oh yeah. So the Joe, who's a good friend of mine, and he's actually the guitarist in Death of Youth now. He's based in Brighton,
Uh-huh.
and I think he was friends with Chalkhand singer Antoine through because he's a fan of them. Because Antoine also plays drums in a Midwest emo band called I Feel Fine. And Joe was telling me, oh yeah, Antoine, he's also in this it's like hardcore band called Chalk Hands,
Yeah.
and he invited me to a show they were playing in Brighton, which I think was Respire were headlining. So I went to that and I instantly saw Chalk Hands. I was like, wow, this is
Yeah.
really cool, and I absolutely loved it. I went straight to their merch desk and bought the album off the basis of how good their set was, and I think as well, I think part of that was kind of part of the transition for me of kind of participating more in the DIY kind of scene because I've ended up becoming friends with the guys in Chalk Cans and Death Review's first show as a full band because we were a bedroom project for a few years. Our first show was opening for Chalk Cans last, I think, November 2024. So yes, something that's very special to me. And of course, it's really cool seeing them open for Touché Amore earlier last year.
Oh, oh, that's cool. But I mean, they deserve their flowers because that album it's really good. And I saw that they released a new single a few weeks ago, right?
A new song. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got a whole album coming out in March, which I'm very excited to hear. It's probably my most anticipated release of this year.
Ah, that's cool. Oh wow, really? I do uh they haven't let you listen to any of it?
Oh, they haven't let me hear it, but I have seen them play some of the new songs live, and they all sound really good. I remember that there's one that they played that really reminds me of like early Touché Amore, which of course I'm going to be all over.
Rob needs the lyrics printed on a t-shirt front and back, and he needs a banner that says #1 fan. Um but how do you feel that what can I ask that doesn't sound pretentious?
I'll say I like the back half of this record a lot. It was a little mellow. I dug the back half of this record. I liked the song "Don't Think About Death." I was
Oh,
into it, and I'm like, oh, this is a really nice instrumental. And then he like sings like the last like minute of the song, and I'm like, oh, I still like this though.
Yeah, it's really cool kind of the way because I heard another interview that the singer Antoine did.
mm,
Apparently, when they started Chalk Cans, the plan was for it to be like a more of a post rock kind of band
Okay.
because he'd done a lot of like screamo bands
uh-huh.
and he wanted to do something a bit different. But then it's kind of evolved into being a screamo band with some like but with a lot of like post rock influence, which I think is really interesting to me. But also still has kind of the fast paced kind of screamo kind of stuff, the heavy melody balance again, which of course establishes like the key to my heart in terms of music. But yeah, so this very well balanced record, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I dug it. It's like I said, screamo's not my lane. I don't hate it. Like I don't think it's one of those things like they shouldn't do it. It's just not my in my lane. And so I'm more older punk rock and kind of and jazz, like I said, and ska. But I dug this, like I said, the back half of that album. I'm sure if I listen to it more, which I'm gonna probably put it into rotation, I'll end up liking the first half of it a lot more too.
I just really like when people scream at me.
Yes.
This is where it gets weird because I think we can all establish that I love music, but when I listen to screamo music, I do not care how slick the instruments sound. I do not care how DIY it can be. If the person screams and actually doesn't get winded by it, I am sold. And that's what I loved, really enjoyed about this album was how it it didn't feel repetitive at any point. That's a given. The what's it called? It felt fresh. It felt unique. It had a very cohesive sound to it,
Mm.
and I love that. But I
Yeah.
also just
A lot of
enjoy.
really interesting song structures as well because it's not
Yeah,
like verse chorus. It's all kind of like flowing through kind of like the whole song, which is kind of how I write my music as well. So,
yeah, because I
so
was
it's
gonna.
also always cool to see other bands doing that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it felt like it didn't. You knew when a song ended and when it started, but it was such a pleasant listen because you were in a flow with the album, and
Mm.
that can be rare, to be honest, with a screamo album, especially because it's the first album, wasn't it? Wasn't it the debut album? This album?
Yeah,
Uh,
this is it's their
yeah,
first album. I think they
yeah,
did an EP a few years beforehand, but this is the first album.
yeah. Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Like when you have uh yeah, emo bands that have been there long before you, they get into that flow where you get into that flow with them. They know the structure, they know the listeners, but like being a new band and having to hook audience onto you, that can be so terrifying. I'm imagining. I've never been, well, I've been in a band, but we didn't record or release anything. We were a band. um but I really enjoyed how you were just like you were in it when you started listening to
Mm.
it. You listened to it. I liked it. I would actually not mind seeing them live. I think they could be fun.
Mm. They're really good. I've seen them like a bunch of times. I've said that like anytime I see them playing near me, or even in Brighton, I will try and find a way to go.
Hitchhike.
Mhm.
Don't kidnap me, sir.
Don't
But
kidnap me. I just want to listen to emo.
yeah, yeah. I just want to listen to stunning, emotional, beautiful music. And I think that like they've managed to do that because the album it's complex. And now I'm actually excited that there's something new coming out because it's it's a good time to be alive. 2026, guys, it's going to be a big year for music. It's also what I said about
Mm.
2025. And
There
that
was
was
some good
true.
stuff. There was some
That
good
was a,
stuff.
there was a lot of good stuff.
There some really good albums last year.
Yeah. I actually, when I was looking back at all the albums, like I have, please do not judge. I, we listen, we don't judge. Okay, guys. I actually, this is going to sound so geeky. I actually have a spreadsheet over the past, now
I
it's three
started that.
years.
I started that this year with movies and with records and
Mm-hmm.
what was the other
And
one?
books.
Books. I have a movies, records, and yeah, movies and records and TV shows. But I think I'm just gonna put movies and TV shows on one.
Yeah.
But
I,
yeah, I did that.
Mm.
I do that now
I've,
too.
I've done that and I've been enjoying my vacation. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I've been enjoying my vacation. I've actually not really listened to any music since it is my day job. And it's like I imagine it's how gynecologists feel. Was that sexist?
I don't think it was. I can outdo
No.
it.
Okay, no, maybe scratch that. I think
I
it's
won't.
like
That was another time.
that was, you know what, Karina, you've there's veto. This is gonna end funny. You know what? Because a gynecologist can be for a lot of things, not just women. Remember that, guys. Like, go to the doctor. The doctor is your friend.
Oh, that's a
Uh,
urologist.
oh, is that a urologist?
I think
Is
a
that the PP?
urologist.
Oh shit. Okay.
That's all right.
Um, I did not. Now I'm dumb.
You're
Okay.
not. You just haven't had a reason to go see a urologist, and that's okay.
Yet. Okay. Either way, I think it's like, when you're a nurse or when you're a cook, when you're a cook, you don't want to like cook all the time. You don't want to go
When
home and cook.
yeah, I get what you mean. When you're yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah. And
That's probably why I haven't had made the jump to be a writer as a job rather than what I do. Because I feel like if I did that, um,
you'd be feeling what I'm feeling.
well, I think it would depend because I really like what I
Mm.
do at Dying Scene, but if I did that every day, I don't think that I would do it as much, and it would just be focusing on comics. But I like this writing much more than whatever writing I'd be hired to do
Mm.
outside
I
of
mean,
this.
I love music. This is like, to be honest, this is my dream job. I can be a better writer. I know that. I've actually, for Christmas, I got a really cool book, called The New Journalism by Tom Wolfe.
What is it?
It's the new journalism. It's just it's just
Mhm.
it's just a collection of essays, like news as news stories and shit.
Okay.
Um but for me that's groundbreaking because I'm not educated. Like I can pull a lot of shit out of my ass with children and philosophy and stuff like that, but I'm not a educated journalist. And what I'm trying to say is I've not listened to music except now that I'm returning to work. No, actually, that's a lie. When I showered, this why did I start the sentence like that? When I showered last week. So last week I have not showered in a week, guys. No, I'm kidding. When I
On bathing day.
on on bathing day 1 in 2026 out of 10. No, instead of listening to a podcast last week because I got behind, I listened to a podcast called The Rest is History. I've been catching up on that. And yeah, and so last week I got kind of I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen to any more about World War II. Actually, I think it was about the Greeks. And I discovered this band called Dust Bunny. And I'm saying this because you guys need to check out this.
Interesting name.
Yeah, you need to check it out. It's grunge and it's a female driven band. Not that that's important, but it is important because the vocals are so stunning. I was floored. I actually ended up writing down the song that had me in such a trance that the water ended up getting all cold in my shower because I was hypnotized. It was amazing. Where is it? Streaming sucks. Who's to blame? Who's to blame is like listen to it. And I actually
Yeah, I made a note of it.
Yeah. I just hijacked a conversation from chalk hands to what Karina's been listening to in 2026, and we're 11 days into it. Anyway, Rob, tell us more about your new album coming out.
So yeah, so our new album is called Nothing's the Same Anymore, which and it's due out on the 16th of February 2026. It's our first release as a full band rather than a bedroom proper project, which is very exciting for us. We're releasing it on vinyl across various labels in different territories. I think probably most relevant to Dying Scene would be Sell the Heart in the US. We're also releasing in the UK, in Germany, Italy, France, and Lithuania, as well as a cassette tape in the UK as well. And then we're doing an album release show on the 15th of February, the day before. So we can play the album in full, and as well as another few other songs. And we are going to be doing a cover, and we're covering a song from one of the albums that we have talked about today, but I'm not saying which one.
Oh, nice.
But that's unfair because we can't come to the release show.
So for me, I think musically it's kind of going along the same kind of path that we've been on, but I think it's definitely kind of more honing in on the influences that I had when I started more than any other release that we've done so far. So it definitely feels a lot more close to the kind of band I always wanted it to be. So definitely more like Touché, Amore, La Disputes, as well as like UK bands like Departures, Good Time Boys. So which is like they had a whole scene like that 10 or so years ago of bands doing like the kind of thing we're doing, which so this album's a love letter to that. And as I've said earlier, it's a lot more. We started dipping our toes into more political stuff on the most recent EP, but this is definitely kind of going more headfirst into that political territory while also allowing for some breathing room for personal reflection on things that I was going through at the time I was writing, but we're also not having those things dominate the whole albums. There's a whole range of topics we like Like we talk about things like how men react towards violence against women. Usually men just being like, oh, not all men are like that kind of stuff. As well as like trans rights, which is a big important
Yeah.
thing for me because one of my siblings is transgender,
Oh,
so it's important for me to kind of talk about trans
Yeah.
rights in my music somehow. Also, kind of like people who are kind of on the fence of politics, how stupid nationalism is, and like
Oh my God. Yes.
yes, yes. I wrote the lyrics to that particular song in 2021, which is like a reaction to things like Brexit and how things were in the UK at the time. And oh
they
boy,
were
ever since then, it's
they were
got more and more
horrible. Yeah, but
relevant.
now it's like now it's just stupid. I mean, we could talk about it, but firstly, I want to echo the statement. Fuck English nationalists because they fucking suck.
Yes. Oh,
Oh, they
as someone who lives in the UK, it's fucking horrible. Yeah.
oh I love coming back to the UK. I lived there for 2 years and it was amazing in the sense that you have fucking funny people. Every
Yes,
country
you
has
do.
that. I mean, I've been to America. There's fucking weirdos over there too, but
Yes, there are.
English nationalists are a different kind of breed
Oh,
because because um
did you hear about what they were doing over the summer?
no.
Oh, I don't know why. For some reason, this is their whole stupid thing they're doing. They were like going onto things like lampposts and hanging Union Jacks everywhere to kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
and antagonize immigrants. It's and doing things like spray painting roundabouts of the Union Jack. Like some people even went to Wales and spray painted the roundabout there, even though their flag isn't even the Union Jack.
It's so funny. Yeah, yeah, I remember that and I thought it had something to do with Charles and his coronation anniversary. I don't know why. I was like, yeah, we get it. You've had that thing as
Yeah,
king for some
yeah.
time now. What are we doing, guys? I did not
Uh,
know that
yeah,
was why.
that was another influence for that song because around the time it was like I was writing it, Meghan Markle was getting hounded by the press for stepping away from the monarchy, whereas
Oh
Prince
yeah.
Andrew was, of course, Prince Andrew, and everyone was ignoring it. And then it was just the absolute dystopian mess of like when Prince Philip died. It was like living in an Alan Moore graphic novel. It was very surreal.
Oh, that would be insane because because that's where things are going if they're not there already.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I live in Denmark and we're being threatened by a Cheeto, like
Yeah.
who has apparently forgotten. And this is my favorite thing because in 1916 or 1915, there was a treaty signed by the United States of America and Denmark that said that Greenland belonged to Denmark. It belonged not belonged. That's wrong. I'm so sorry to the people of Greenland for using that. You are your own people. You do not belong to Denmark. You do not belong to anyone. What I'm saying is that they had a home in the Kingdom of Denmark. And that was better, right? That,
Works.
yeah, that works better. And I just think that that whole thing is surreal. But one thing I'm really glad about is the fact that the UK and France are backing Denmark up. I think that's a strong move,
Yeah.
considering the English
Hmm.
politicians don't really have any balls to anymore. Like what's happened over there.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of opinions on our Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He is absolutely. I've said this on stage at our shows a couple of times. I have said Keir Starmer is a spineless coward because that's what he is.
Oh my god, yeah. and that's why I was surprised that anybody in England is backing Denmark up. I was like, okay, somebody's somebody's grown some.
Or
But
they got to
yeah.
visit by three
Every now
goats
and
and
again,
so
he
forth.
does one good thing, and then he spends the rest of his time arresting Palestine activists.
Uh, what an idiot. Oh, back to the album, which I'm sorry. I just can't stop laughing when we bring up the English nationalists. My head goes everywhere and I just yeah. What has been the funnest song to write and record?
Oh, I would say possibly the last song on the album and the title track, which is called "Nothing's the Same Anymore," which is the second single on the album.
Mm.
Is one of the song I wrote. I think I had the guitar to it like maybe like 4 years before we did the album, and it's one of those songs that kind of just it is what. As soon as I wrote it, I was just instantly just like, "Wow, already really stoked about this song," and when it was finished, and I was like, "This has got to be the last song on the album because it just sounds like a closer."
Oh,
And then
that's
when I got around
nice.
to writing the lyrics, it was yeah. When I got around to writing the lyrics for the album, it was ended up being about like like healing from my last breakup, and it was one of those
Oh.
things where it's like this is a song that means a lot to me, and it's important because it was one of those things like I was kind of over the situation, but I was like, this was such a big thing that I've been through. I want some kind of art that reflects that, and it's like
Mm.
it made sense to link it to this song that I already felt really strongly about, and then of course recording it and hearing it come to life the way I imagined it in my head was it was something really special. And it's our favorite songs to play. Like this was one of the first album songs we started adding into our set lists,
Mm.
and it always just felt like like the most like cathartic experience I've had playing music live. And the last couple of shows we played, we've ended with it as well, and felt like the perfect way to end our set.
Nice.
Oh, that's so cool.
I like it when I liked it when I was playing in bands and you could just you wrote a new song and you were just able to just smoothly fit it in that way. Somewhere, even if you're just throwing it on at the end, but like if it works, like you know what I mean, not like just tacking something on, but like just you're able to just to fit it in and you just got it. It's just perfect. I loved it when it worked out that way.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. I was like, when I started writing the song, I thought, okay, this will probably be like a track two or something. Then when it finished, I was like, no, this could be a good song to end the album on.
I dug it. I dug the song Invertebrate a lot.
Well, I've got a funny story about because it was originally written like about a decade ago for my very first band. It's a song we never used, but it was kind of like the prototype of what Death of Youth ended up being. And it was like one of the songs I was always umming and ahhing about whether or not to use it for Death of You because things were a bit up in the air with the band I wrote it for. So I was like, maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. And then it can't, as it's been like a decade where I was like, and I spoke to the rest of that band and I was like, and we're like, yeah, there's no chance of us ever doing anything again, so we can use that song for Death of Youth. And I kind of gave it a fresh coat of paint
Yeah.
and made it kind of brought it back to life, and I'm really glad that it now sees the light of day, and it fit really well in the album. So it wasn't like me just plucking it out just kind of just because I could. It was like it's always wanted to use it for Death but now I'm finally doing what I wanted to do with it.
You're the primary songwriter? Do you write with anybody else in your band?
The rest of the band do contribute, but I think our guitarist Joe, he's got another band over in Brighton called Windowhead. So he likes that he doesn't have to get involved with the writing for this band. But the thing I love is that he will always suggest things, kind of add to the songs, and 9 times out of ten, I'll always like welcome any suggestions, and also I'll try anything. And usually, other people's suggestions make the songs better. So I like being able to work collaboratively, but also I also like having those ideas in my head of like of being in control of the writing because I think that was one thing that I struggled with. I came a bit too attached to the band, and
Yeah.
and wanting to kind of have more control over the guitar. So I was a bit reluctant to wrestle that control away. So like that, I get the balance of having that control, but also being able to welcome input from others. Yeah, and the things like the producers we worked with on the album were very hands-on, but they're people we've been like I've known for years, and I know. And again, I was like, we'll see, we'll try what they're suggesting, and if it works, it works, and it makes the song better. So we'll just give it a go. It's always fun just to play around with the songs and see what works and what doesn't work.
Going back to your four records real quick, do you feel like there's a through line or a theme or anything that you feel kind of connects them together outside of being your, your personal four records?
I think it's kind of just a progression. I think because it kind of narrowly progresses. Because obviously, ABBA's the wild card a bit. It is kind of it's got that groundwork of the
Yeah.
catchy melodic tunes, and then of course, Funeral for a Friend kind of builds on that. It's got the catchiness, but also has the heavier guitar, heavier melodic guitars, and some the odd screaming